Welcome to Dramatic Knits. My name is Steve, also known as Dramatic Knits, and today is Wednesday, October 9th, 2019. This is episode 340. If you're a returning viewer, thanks for coming back one more episode, and if you're new, hopefully you enjoy this show and you'll come back in the future. As you can see, I'm flying solo once again. Amanda still has not found her crafting bug, and she said it's fall TV season, so she has shows every night, and alas, you have me. It's alright. It's been a while. We've been doing a lot of traveling, hence why I have not been able to record for the past 3 weeks. But that's alright. I have a decent amount to show you. But because I've been not home, I haven't been able to do some of my other crafting. So it's going to be knitting heavy, less on the other crafts. So, let's go over my last 3 weeks really quickly. So, right after I recorded, we were getting ready for our first ever Knitting at the Estate retreat, which is a brand new retreat that Andy, myself, and Amanda were hosting on behalf of Bleeding Men Fiber Arts. And we were super excited, but, as with anything, planning an event and running an event takes a lot of time and energy, and this was our first time doing it, so we had a lot of things to figure out along the way. Before we started the event, I ended up breaking my glasses. The hinge broke on my glasses. I didn't break them. And so I had to revert to an old pair of glasses all throughout the retreat, which was fine. But I have since gone in, and then they had to replace said glasses, but the frames were discontinued, so I got a new pair of frames. Amanda likes to call me Harry Potter. I went for a more rounded look. I don't know. They're blue. Andy thinks they're a bit purplish, but I like them. So I went around trying on a couple pair, and these are the ones that went out. So I picked these up on our way back into town this weekend. But anyway, so Thursday was the beginning of Kate Knitting at the Estate, and we had people check in. It was such a great time. It was a little overwhelming because we could not get into the event space until the same time check-in was starting. So while I was doing check-in, Amanda and Andy were setting up the booth in the library, and we were chit-chatting with people, and there were snacks, and pretty laid back the first day. We had dinner as a group every night, and that seemed to go over very well. Friday, we had classes. Our teachers were Gail Zucker and Laura Linneman. They both were amazing, had amazing feedback on behalf of both of them. On Friday, we also... What did we do on Friday? There was a concert in the on the grounds of the park. And we just had great snacks and food. And then on Saturday, we had more classes in the morning, and then we had our open market in the afternoon, which was amazing. The vendors, as you'll see over the next couple of episodes, because I'm going to parse out my stash enhancement, because I am not going to be getting new stash enhancement. Well, I still have some coming, but I'm not going to be getting some for a long time. I did a lot of damage over the past couple of weeks, so we'll probably be waiting till Kate 2020 to be replenishing said stash. But so many amazing vendors from all over the Midwest, all the way from Texas up to Michigan, over to Ohio, to Kansas. It just was amazing. So I believe the vendors all said they were very happy with the turnout. We had more than I expected come in from the public. I was expecting like 3 or 4 people. We probably had between 20 to 25 people from the outside, which is great because it is literally in the middle of nowhere, and I was wondering and trying to ask people where they heard about it from, and they said they either were local or they had heard about it through other podcasts, so that's great. I hope to keep it growing as the years go on. And so then Saturday night we had a murder mystery, which was fun. Hadn't been through something like that since I was in middle school. It's a little long, so most people had fun with it. I don't know if we'll be bringing it back for 2020. My gut feeling says no. We'll probably try something new in terms of entertainment. But dinner was great again. We did have a fire pit with s'mores on Friday and Saturday. And then Sunday we got up and we had breakfast, and Andy and Amanda and I tore down our booth. And then we sat and hung out with people for the last hour before everybody had to be on their way. So it was just such a great experience. And, it was not about making money for us. Definitely was not about that. It was about growing a Central Illinois knitting community and growing the Leading Men Fiber Arts community, which is what we wanted to do. We travel so much and get to meet so many wonderful, amazing people that we wanted to kind of invite those who enjoy our product and enjoy who we are as a company to kind of experience a little bit of our world. While it's not in our town and you don't see our studio, it's very close to our town. It's about a half hour away, and it really gives you a feel of where we're from, and our community that built Leading Men Fiber Arts. So anyway, we are proud to announce that we will be having a Kate 2020. However, next year we did not book the estate in time to book the same or around the same time in September as we did this year. So next year it will be in November. It will be the weekend before Thanksgiving, and we will be doing signups for that probably sometime in April. So if you're not on the Leading Men Fiber Arts newsletter or follow us on Instagram or Facebook, those would be great places to follow. We will not be doing a lottery next year. It will be a first come, first serve. And so that'll be in April. We'll probably be doing a vendor call and vendor application sometime in February. We are going to do vendors ahead of time this year rather than after the fact. And so I'm excited to announce that we will have Kate 2020, and we've already tentatively booked 2021 so that we could be back in September, because we did like the September date. So we'll just see how everything plays out. We're still finalizing a lot of details. I'm starting to get into contact with teachers for next year. So keep on the lookout for all that information. And then we came home. We had a few days at home, and for the first time in Leading Men Fiber Arts history, no, that's not right. It's very rare that we split up and do shows individually. But due to the state of how well things are going on the business, which is great, we need to dye all the yarn all the time. And so the following weekend, we were vending at Fiber Fun in the SIP in Mississippi. And Andy said, you know what, Steve, I can take care of this, and you need to stay home and dye yarn. So after much hemming and hawing, because I'm a overbearing business partner, I said, all right, fine. And he went down and did an amazing job, drove 10 hours each way by himself, set up the booth and tore it down by himself and manned it all weekend. And he said he met quite a few wonderful people down there. So if you stopped by and said hi to him or checked out our wares, thank you so much. That was our first time in Mississippi. And then he drove home on Sunday, got home Sunday afternoon. We rearranged a few things, and then we left Monday morning to head to Salt Lake City, Utah for Stitches Salt Lake. We drove 20 hours. It took us 2 days, and we arrived on Tuesday evening. Wednesday, we set up our booth, and Wednesday night was the preview. Thursday, Friday, and Saturday were the market. Honestly, it was pretty slow until Saturday, and Saturday was all right. It was a new show for them, so I know they have not announced dates for next year because they have not been able to nail down the conference center as of yet. So we'll see what 2020 has to hold for Stitches Salt Lake. But it was a beautiful area. We got to see a lot of new vendors to us and meet some, old friends and chit chat and had dinner with some friends. And it was a good time overall, and, pretty easy drive, uneventful. We did drive a few hours Saturday night and drove back the majority Sunday and Monday. And then we got back Monday evening. Yesterday, I was looking a hot mess because we had not done haircuts in, well, a long time, and both of our beards were like mountain men, so I chose not to record yesterday evening, and we did haircuts, and I trimmed my beard this morning, and took a shower, which, I'm sure you can appreciate via the screen, but I'm looking a lot better, especially with my new fabulous glasses, and I actually put on a decent shirt for you. I mowed the lawn yesterday, and then we did some deep cleaning of the kitchen floors tonight when we got home. And now I'm recording for you all before I sit back and relax and do some crafting this evening, which is much needed. So anyway, that's pretty much been my 3 weeks. We're actually going to split up again this weekend. Fall Fiber Expo in Ann Arbor, Michigan is this weekend. However, we are still behind on yarn. So I am most likely going to be staying home this weekend as well to dye more yarn, and Andy will go and vend that show. He's also going to be able to see his mom and stop by and see his dad and grandma, so it'll be good. And then we will be heading to New York for Indian Tangled, and then Rhinebeck Extravaganza. We're going to be attending Rhinebeck as patrons. We're renting a old converted barn with a bunch of friends. Amber Yarn Hoarder, Corey I Rock Knits. Both of them have podcasts, and then also our friend Stacy Knits, Multi-Crafty Guy Matt, and Renee, who is Nitroverted. So we are super excited to kind of have a fun Fiber Friends weekend, and we have that barn booked through Monday, and then Andy and I are going to take a couple days and drive down the East Coast or eastern part of the U.S. Down to Asheville, North Carolina for SAFF, which is Southeastern Animal Fiber Festival, which is another big, huge event, and that's what a lot of people who do both events do, is they go down from Rhinebeck down to SAFF. We are pleased to announce we will be in the Davis Arena at SAFF this year, and we have a big triple booth, so hence why I need to dye more yarn, because after, we're just running from show to show to show, and we're trying to stay on top of all the yarn, but it's hard. Only 4 hands that dye and 6 hands that work the business. It's a lot to do. So anyway, that being said, 13 minutes in, let's start showing some knitting, shall we? So I worked diligently to and from Utah on my Blend on the Water by Callie Monster, and I used the Uncommon Thread Merino DK that I picked up at the Loopy U in Fort Collins, Colorado last summer when we did a trunk show there. And I used the colorways Arkham Asylum, Into Dust, Wilted Rose, and Aged Merlot on a size 7 US 4.5 millimeter needles. And you should definitely check out my project pages. I took a bunch of project photos with Mandy modeling this afternoon. And so she did a wonderful job. We did it kind of in front of some of the buildings on our town square where our studio is located. But this is Blend on the Water. And this looks completely different after blocked. It is a superwash merino. It's the same base as our dramaturg. But I love how the colors blended. I didn't think that they looked so amazing, but you know what? I thought there was kind of too much of a harsh contrast, especially when you look at the original photo of the original design, but I love how this came out. And I added just a little bit of that gray, that Arkham Asylum at the beginning, at the bind off, which is what the pattern called for. So I love it, and it came to a beautiful size. It is essentially a 4-skein DK weight shawl. I used about 3 3¼ maybe skeins. So look at that. Hey. I know, you're jealous. Just kidding. But this is, I love it. I don't know if it's going to be a holiday gift or if it will be one of our charity auction prizes for Kate 2020. The more I'm looking at it, it may be a holiday gift for someone. It just came into my mind. So, we'll see. But that's that. I loved this. I was worried it was not going to be intuitive, and it was. I started this, I believe, in July at the Super Summer Knit Together, and I was worried that it was not going to be a great retreat knitting project, but once you get the hang of it, it's super easy. And it's a lot of slip stitches, so that helps it go much quicker than if it was all knitting. That, however, is all that I finished. So let's move into what's performing this episode. First up is my Alpine blanket using Serdar Alpine in the Brindle colorway using a size 15 US 10mm needle. Last episode, my needle broke on camera, so those of you who were worried, I was a little disheartened, but I ordered a needle and I waited until after our retreat to even pick it up or deal with it. While I was a little worried while picking it up that I was going to drop a stitch, and it's really hard to see in this big, bulky, fuzzy yarn, I don't believe I've dropped stitches. I picked a lot of them up twisted, and I tried to feel if, you can feel while you're knitting if a stitch is twisted or not. So I tried to manipulate as many of the stitches that I felt needed to be manipulated, but I think I picked them all up. And I believe I've joined in the 22nd ball. And I'm on a much smaller cord, so this is a 32-inch, size 15. And this is a Haya Sharp I bought off of Amazon because I needed quick delivery. So here we are. And so you can see how tall it is. And there's the bottom. So right now, touching the floor, it is right here on me. So I may or may not use all 30, just because I don't want it to be like a curtain. I don't want to be able to... Wow, would that be retro to make curtains out of this? Somebody do it and send me a photo. But I don't want it to essentially be a body bag. And, too long, it can be too long. So I may go to about 25 skeins, and then I may actually use the other 5 skeins as a gift, or Amanda loves this so much that maybe I can give it to her, and she can make dog beds or a little throw. I'm not sure. But, or cowls have been really popular with this. There's like a hair or something, and Lord knows it's not mine. Anyway, honestly, I don't want to think it's a spider web because this time of year there's spiders everywhere. Sorry, I have a notification up there on my screen. The dogs get their monthly meds for flea, ticks, and heartworm today. So, anyway, so that's the first thing that's performing. The next thing is Plat Please by Amy Miller. I'm using Rowan Kid Silk Haze in cream. Excuse me, this is why I should not drink pop. I was going to make a pink drink, but then I figured it's not even 5 o'clock and it's a little early. And anyway, by the way, we taught people how to make pink drink at the retreat, and it might just be the retreat drink of next year, or all forthcoming years. Anyway, Rowan Kid Silk Haze in Cream, Trance, and Candy Girl. These were generously donated to the podcast for Amanda and I to peruse and then to give away as gifts. I had it in the gift pile, but then I heard that my local yarn store, Les Moutons Rouge Knittery in Bloomington, was doing this pattern as a knit-along, and I said, you know what? It's serendipitous because I was just gifted this yarn, which is what it calls for, or something like that. Mohair lace weight. So I was like, I'm going to do it, and I've got good colors for it. So, in my ZK project bag that we were gifted in our goodie bag this year, this is from the Silver Shed USA on Etsy. which if you're going to Indian Tangled, you should definitely keep an eye out on our social media because we are premiering a brand new product in collaboration with Leading Men, or with the Silver Shed USA, that is completely a Leading Men Fiber Arts line, and you are not going to want to miss it. I'm just saying, folks. So, I have been working on this, and boy, this is going to take a while because 1, it sheds, 2, it's lace weight, so... But this is on a size 6 US 4mm needle, and I'm using my signature fix before they went to convertibles. And so, yeah, here it is. So this is the cream, which is the main color. You need 3 balls of that, 3 25-gram balls. Trance is the blue, you need 2 of those, and Candy Girl is the pink, the magenta, and you need 1 of those. And so pretty much you're doing these stripe sections, you do 7 of them. And then what you do to make the plaid is you do 2 lines on this edge and 2 lines on this edge, and you use a crochet hook and go through each stitch and loop it through to make the vertical seam. You're kind of duplicate stitching with a crochet hook all the way up the scarf, the wrap. So, it's really mindless and easy. So if you want a good retreat or knit night knitting, this is it. So that's going, and it's all just stocking out. That's all it is. Till you're done. Alright, next up has seen a lot of work since we spoke last, and that is my Stranger Strings wrap by Julia Decker, using Leading Men Fiber Arts Showstopper and Showstopper Gradient in Darkest Hour, and the gradient is OMG Neons plus a Glow Stick Mini. So, and this is on a size 6 US 4mm needle as well. In my Heavenly Handmaids bag that I picked up at that one Michigan show we did. Autumn Fiber Festival. I swear I turned on my airplane mode and I keep getting notifications. Anyway, I've gone through 1 whole color repeat of the gradient plus the mini. You need 7 mini skeins plus 2 skeins of a main color. And I've just started adding in more stripes, or more of the spider webbing. Oh, look at this, you guys. Yes! So, I wanted that striking, shocking striping happening. Ha, look at that S cubed. Anyway, so you can see the slip stitches here, and we're just starting here to bring in some more. So I've gone through 1 whole color repeat, and then you go through it again, and then there's a big black section in the middle, and then you go in reverse twice the other way. So, love this. Yes. Yes. So this will be a shop sample, and we will have kits for this once I get it done. I've already been in contact with the designer to make sure that that is a go on that when it gets done. She is all for it. We have so many collaborations in the works right now, I cannot even tell you. I was conferencing with Andy on one of them today. He's like, I don't even know what you're doing half the time. He's like, you're juggling so many collaborations and things. He's like, I can't keep track of it all. And I'm like, I know, it's hard for me to keep track of it all. But I do it because it's fun. And I like seeing how our products translate into so many other things. All right. My last work in progress is over here. And I'm not going to show you the bag yet because this will eventually be shown as Stash Enhancement on a future episode. But I cast on, so I finished the blend on the water, which was, I like to have a project from my stash, a project with my local yarn store yarn, and then a project out of our yarn on the needles at all times, so that, I'm working through my stash, I have a project to take to open knitting, and I'm always working on a sample or something new out of our lines. So once I finished the blend on the water, that was for my stash. I used my random number generator on my yarn stash to pick out the next project. And it picked out, I think, Shibui Pebble, but there's 3 skeins in here. So it was one of these Shibui yarns. And the pattern that I had lined up with this is called Riverine, and that is by Teresa Gaffey. It uses Shibui Pebble, Silk Cloud, and Sema. You use 1 skein of each, and it's a really simple biased garter and stockinette stitch wrap that they had a sample of at Woolen Company in St. Charles, Illinois, the first time we did a trunk show up there. And so, or no, this was maybe it was the first time we went up there. And I was like, gots to have it. And I hadn't seen Shibui in real life till then. So it picked this pattern for me. And I was like, all right, I'll do that. So these all have 3 different textures. They're all like a lace weight, knit on a size 6. No. Oh, I didn't put the needle. It's a 5. It's a 5 US 3.75 millimeter needle. So this is Pebble. And you can see there it's got, let me give you the constructions of all these yarns because they're very unique blends. So Pebble is a light fingering. It has 224 yards to 25 grams, so it's a lace weight. Who are we kidding? This is 48% recycled silk, 36% fine merino, and 16% cashmere. I've only started working with this, and it's really nice. I like it for being what looks like a rustic yarn or like a recycled yarn. The next is Silk Cloud, and this is a 60% kid mohair, 40% silk, 330 yards to 25 grams. And the last is Sema, which is a lace weight, and this is 70% super baby alpaca, 30% fine merino, and this actually has a nice, pretty tight twist on it. And I'm not sure if I said already, these are all in color 2002, which is graphite. So they're all supposed to be the same color. Now, some people's projects don't, but it plays with texture and, you know, the way the color takes on the different bases, plus, you know, the lace versus the light fingering. It plays with the visibility through the fabric, which is really cool for such a simple project. So another very easy, simple project on a very fine yarn, and another wrap. Surprise, I love my wraps. So, but I'm glad I'm using some stash, you know, because that's what it's there for and it's meant to be used. So I cast on and I got, I think, 10 rows done last night. And this was like in an hour and a half, so. Excuse me. But it'll be about that long. Biased. So that's going, and that's on some Hiya sharps as well. Some of my new favorite needles. I'm late to the Hiya game, but I get to see them at all the stitches, so that's really cool. And I've got to meet the owner and reps of the North American distributors of Hiya, so I'll take that as a win. Alrighty, so let's keep moving. That's all that I'm working on. Really may have added 1 granny square to my blanket, so I'm not going to show that. Behind the scenes, I'm still spinning some Hidden Valley Farm and Woolen Mill, 75% Coopworth, 25% mohair roving in the Cypress Moss colorway, which looks like this. This is all that I have left to spin, but that's probably about as much as you saw in the last episode because I have not been home, 1, and 2. When I am home, I'm usually wanting to actually just sit and knit on the couch with Andy and enjoy some relaxing time, which is what's going to happen this evening. Weaving, I'm still weaving. I have this much left of the weft to weave onto my warp. This is some Leading Men Fiber Art Showcase, which has been discontinued. We do have a few skeins left in the shop, discounted to 40%. And we do have some undyed skeins. It's 100% superwash merino, 490 yards, light fingering weight, If you'd like to put in a custom order for Showcase, you can do so, and we will honor the 40% discount to try to relinquish us of that undyed stock. But I used the Showcase base in Sangria for the warp of the scarf. So that's going. But again, haven't been home. And my cross stitch has barely seen anything. Because honestly, while Andy was in Mississippi, he had the iPad I used to keep my cross stitch pattern on it. So even while I was home those few days, I did not get to do any cross stitching. All right, let's move into the spotlight. What am I watching and reading? All watching this episode. I'm still watching another episode or so of How to Get Away with Murder, season 5, I believe. Yes, because 6 is out now, and 6 is the last season. We are all caught up with The Righteous Gemstones, which I believe is on Showtime or Prime. I don't know. We watch it on a streaming service. There's one more episode left, which should come out this weekend, I believe, and that is the last episode of the first season. I am watching The Masked Singer. I thought the first season looked incredibly dumb, but it came back for a second season, and I got caught up in the hoopla, and I'm like, who is it? So the first episode was a 2-hour season premiere, so it was essentially 2 episodes. They unmasked 2 celebrities. One, I had no idea who they are. They're a YouTube celebrity, and I feel like there's a couple of those, which, funny, because I have a podcast on YouTube, and I watch a lot of knitting podcasts. I am not a follow the big name people who make millions of dollars off of YouTube type of person, so had no idea who that was. But the first person to be unmasked, shocker, earmuffs if you don't want to hear, was Johnny Weir. He was the egg. Yeah, he was the egg, right? Yeah, he was the egg. I had a feeling it was either him. I actually thought it was Adam Lipan. I knew it was an ice skater. So I was happy that I was somewhat close with that. The second one wouldn't have been able to guess. I caught up with the third episode last night. I have a feeling who one of the people is. I have a very strong feeling who they are. But the person who got unmasked, again, they only got to perform once. They also padded their suit. They were the panda. So you really couldn't tell who they were. But it was Layla Ali, Muhammad Ali's daughter. So it was interesting. She's like, I'm used to winning a match, and this is, humbling to be kicked out pretty soon. But nobody had an idea it was her, so she did a good job of covering up her tracks. Andy and I started watching American Horror Story. He watched the first episode with me. I watched the second, and then we missed the third, and it is on no streaming service unless you have Hulu Live, which we do not. So I don't know if we'll catch the next episode tonight or if we'll just wait until it comes out on Netflix this season. I don't know. It's not blowing me away so far, so we'll see. All right, stash enhancement. I have a metric butt ton of yarn and goodies and project bags and other accoutrement to show you because, one, we wanted, and I made sure that it happened, that we supported every vendor at our market. Then I wanted to support a lot of people who supported our by door prizes or coupon codes, and so I did a lot of that. We are not at the point that Andy has gotten rid of all the coupon codes, so I cannot spend any more because I've bought a lot of things. And then I got quite a bit of stuff at Stitches Salt Lake because when a show is slow, that's what your boy Steve does. He goes out shopping. And the problem is I'm not just picking up a skein here or there. I'm picking up projects worth, which most of the time anymore, it's multiple skeins. It's a fingering weight plus a mohair silk. It's this, it's that. So anyway, first up, I wanted to show you the first vendor is Peat Moss Novelties, and this is Paula Moss. She is not online as of yet, But she has been sewing bags, and she put in for the retreat, got into the retreat, and said, hey, when vendor applications open, she's like, would you be interested in me coming and selling my bags? And, I'm new to this game and everything, but, I said, absolutely, we would love to support a new business. And she's a hoot and a half. And we got to see her, I think, at least 2, if not 3 times prior to the retreat. And we got to know her so much more throughout the retreat. And her niece, Katie, joined her in vending. And her niece is Ella Bella Beads, which is named after her daughter. And so there was a bag that she donated for a door prize, and she gave it to me prior to the retreat, and I was like, I really like this fabric. She's like, well, I don't have any more of it, but she made me a bag specifically for me if I wanted to purchase it at the market out of that fabric. And that fabric are these vintage cars, and she has fun little tassels, like the faux suede tassels. So, and it's got a carabiner on the side. It's got a nice flat bottom. And it's got plain unbleached lining. And you can see there. So, I haven't even used these ones yet. And I was like, yes, I want that. Especially, I love the colors. I love the aqua. And she did a beautiful job of putting in the zipper. And I said, I will take one of those, absolutely. But as I was watching her set up, there was another bag I loved, which before I go there, she did throw at me a Notions pouch in matching fabric, so I'm going to put that in there right now. So thank you, Paula, for that. She was very generous. But there was another bag that I loved because my little woodland creature flannel-loving self saw this and was going to go over there and buy it, and Andy took some of our budget that we had to spend with vendors, and he's like, I'm going to go do some shopping for you. And so I saw him at Paula's booth, and I saw him talking at Paula, and I was like, no, before you spend, there's a bag I want. And he's like, no, you get what you get. And I was like, they're like, oh, which one was it? I bet we know which it was. And Andy actually picked this one out for me, which is the one I wanted. And this is the Woodland Creatures with flannel tents and a lovely bear wearing flannel. There's raccoons and owls and squirrels and deer and scarves and Fair Isle sweater wearing beavers, and campfire and mountains and leaves and bunnies, and I love it. I love it so much. And a lovely tassel again with the unbleached lining, which I like because you can see your items in there. So, and these were $20 for the size. That is not bad at all. They are interfaced, but they're still kind of soft enough that you can, they are malleable enough to stuff into another bag. But I mean, there's my head for reference. I got a ginormous head. So I got those two. And then as she's packing up, I'm walking around. And I said, you didn't tell me you had plaid, which she had in a couple colors. But Grello is all the rage, gray and yellow. And so she throws at me, which I have a whole bunch of stuff in here. Okay. And this one I think is a bigger size than what I bought. Yeah, this must be an extra large size. But she threw this bag at me and she goes, here. And these ones were $25. I mean, come on. So, not only did she throw this at me, which I was like, yes, I'm going to use this. She then, her and her niece threw in some things for the podcast, which you're going to see here in a little bit, just coming up here soon. So that was the first vendor, Peat Moss Novelties and Alabella Beads. And then right next to us was Treasure Goddess Yarn, who we got to see again at Minnesota Knitters Guild Yarn Over event this past April. And I had seen her probably 2 or 3 years ago at Fiber U in Missouri. And that was our first Fiber U. We did it twice. And I went past her booth and I bought a skein of yarn from her, actually. I think it's the same base as our Diva base, which is a Merino Silk 600 yarn, and I bought a shawl pattern of hers. But we talked about the retreat at Yarnover, and she's like, I want to go, I want to vend. So she applied to vend, and then she took an offsite spot, even though she's coming all the way from Kansas City. And then we went through the wait list, and then we offered offsite spots, onsite spots, and she got an onsite spot, and she had such a great time. And she wore such amazing hand knits all weekend. But anyway, Andy went to her booth next to us, and he picked up a skein of Treasured Toes sock yarn. This is a 75-25 superwash merino nylon, 463 yards, in the colorway Copper Cove, which is beautiful, has highlights and lowlights. Love it. So I paired this already with a project. I don't remember what it was, if it was a pair of socks or if I paired it with something else to go with something, but... And that's Christine at Treasure Goddess Yarns, so definitely check her out. I'll have all the vendors that I talk about each episode linked to their shops. Next to Treasure Goddess Yarns were Meg and Beth of Twisted Fiber Arts, who we do tons of shows with. They are lovely ladies. And they do some of the most amazing gradients that you will ever see, and they are breaking out into the hand-dyed fabric world. Andy, the first time he saw them was YarnCon 5 years ago. It was our second YarnCon, and they were there, and he about fell head over heels for their yarn. And I got to pick up a skein there. I picked up 2 other skeins at another event, at Fall Fiber Expo, actually, which is this weekend. But then he shopped and he picked out this skein of Tasty, which is an 80% superwash merino, 10% cashmere, 10% nylon. This is a large evolution. It's 510 yards to 140 grams in the colorway Downton. And I actually paired with this a shawl by Sarah Bear Crafts. And it was a shawl she designed with this yarn. So Sarah was kind enough to gift me this pattern when she released it. So thank you, Sarah. So I'm actually going to use this cake because Andy did not buy me a coordinating pattern to go with it. Because whenever I buy their cakes, I always want to make sure that I know that I have a pattern in mind for it to use the most amount of yards and really show off the patterning and the gradient. And so they have a wonderful array of samples. In fact, they were right in front of the fireplace in the library, their booth, and they set up mannequins in all different sizes and heights on the mantle of the fireplace and on their table, and it looked like a choir of shawl-wrapped maidens singing behind them while they were vending, and it was pure magic, is what it was. So. I will say that Twisted Fiber Arts is a luxury yarn to purchase for yourself, but if you do not have it in your stash, I highly recommend you try Meg and Beth's yarn. They do amazing work. How they work their magic, I have no idea. No idea. So anyway, those are the 3 vendors that I wanted to highlight for this episode, but don't worry, I'll be highlighting vendors probably for the next year with all that I have coming in. And that is here. So, that brings us to this episode's giveaway. I have some things from Kate and some things from Fiber Fun and the Sip, so I put them together into one goodie bag. And that literally is in a bag from Fiber Fun and the Sip, so it's one of these fun, kind of holographic tote bags. It comes with a cute pin from Fiber Fun and the Sip. It also has a tape measure, a pen, a postcard, and a stitch marker progress keeper from Fiber Fun and the Sip. In their goodie bag was an issue of Noro magazine. I'm not sure if it's the latest or not. It says issue 10. And, so I think this was summer. So this might have been not their latest issue, but the one right before it. So I'm throwing that in the goodie bag and keeping that with it. And then, speaking of the generosity of Paula Moss, she threw in, what is she calling these? Oh, she doesn't have it on here. These are, I call them ball sacks. They are cake caddies. They are cake wranglers. But you put your ball in there. And you can actually, if you have small enough balls, yarn cakes, you can put 2 in there and actually have like 2 socks, 2 at a time socks, and have them coming out by snapping them. Or, you can just keep your yarn cake in there and then pull it. It doesn't roll around. So that was that. And $5 she was charging. And everybody got a specific one. I got one of these in their goodie bag in a fall fabric that she only used for the cake goodie bag. She was so generous. She also threw in a needle cozy, a work in progress cozy, so that you can put your needles in and then snap up in the same matching fabric. And then Ella Bella Beads threw in this stitch marker set and made out of polymer clay, and I'm trying to figure out what this is. I think this is a little fairy or a flower and some mushrooms, but you also get a major progress keeper plus 3 little mushrooms that go from them. So this whole bag of goodies is up on the website right now. You can enter to win this bag of goodies, and that is on our Ravelry group. You must be a member of the Ravelry group to win. I did try to pull for a winner for last episodes, and the person was not a member, so I had to redraw. So make sure you join the Dramatic Knits video podcast group. And then you can only post once in the entry, in the drawing thread, and you need to answer this episode's prompt. In this episode, the prompt is, what was the last book you read? And you could have listened to it. That is still reading in my mind. So what is the last book that you read? And post there, and I will randomly number generate when I record again in 3 weeks, and we'll pull for a winner for that. So go on over, join the group, post your entry, and let me know what book you read last. All right. Moving right along, inside the Knitters Studio. So this is a question and answer segment. We do have a Q&A thread on our Ravelry group. You can head on over there and ask me questions, and I will answer one per episode and work my way down the list. This question comes from Callisters, whom you might know. Callisters is Callie, who formerly was the co-host of Dramatic Knits podcast, until she was moving on up in the corporate world and got a job down in St. Louis. So I did get to hang out with her for a little bit at the retreat. She's doing well. Life is good. She's busy. Her parents came down and visited her at the retreat. I got to say hi to them. So that was nice. She said, first of all, love and miss you guys. We love and miss you too, Callie. We wish you were up here more often. But she said, Steve, if money, time, and skill set wasn't or weren't an off-putting factor, what would your dream knitting project be? And I think my answer to that would be a very fine knit, like on a size 1 or 0, cashmere shawl collared cardigan. Because I'd wear that with everything, and it would be lightweight enough that I would not run warm, and come on, it's cashmere. And, oh, did I say it was black? Yeah, I'd need it to be black or like a very dark gray. Like a steel graphite gray. Yeah, that would be it. But it would take forever. Feel like you'd make no progress on it. And it would be black. So, on a fine gauge. But I'd be all about it. They'd bury me in that thing. Truth. All right, let's move into a round of applause. Last episode, we were doing a giveaway for the book Pipsqueaks, and this is 35 knitting designs from Rowan for babies and children up to 10 years old. And we had an entry on our Ravelry group. Random number selected number 6, who is Suze Robb, and that's Susie from Austin, Texas. Congratulations, Susie. The prompt last episode was, what would be the worst buy one, get one free sale of all time? And she said liver. Ew, BOGO on liver. Not like the liver inside of you, but like the liver you eat. Yeah, I don't know if I've ever had like real cooked liver. I know I've had liverwurst, like in middle school when I visited my grandparents down in Texas, and I actually really liked it. I have not tried it since, though I've been tempted to. The liverwurst is more like a pate, like a paste, rather than actual, like, gotta chew liver. And I don't like onions, so I always know it's liver and onions. So I would probably agree with you on that. So, Susie, get in contact with me, Dramatic Knits on Ravelry. Please, if you would, give me your name, address, and email address, and I'll get this out to you as soon as I can when I'm home and at the studio. All right, moving right along. September 2019, Race to the Finished Object contest is over because guess what? It's October. I was a poet and I didn't even know it because I rhymed just in time. No, that ended poorly. All right, so let's just get to the winners, shall we? Random number generator picked for our physical prize, which this month is a skein of Into the World Manchester, which is their 80-10-10 Superwash Merino Cashmere Nylon in their January 2013 Yarn Club Starry Nacht. It's the German word for Starry Night. I used to know how to say it because I had to sing a German version of Starry Night in high school. But that never took German. So this was generously donated by a benefactor of the podcast. Thank you very much. You know who you are. The winner of this was number 43, who is Knitter Chow, and that's Kathy from Michigan. Congratulations, Kathy. We know Kathy. She's good people. And Andy will probably be able to see her this weekend. Andy, I want to go this weekend. So many people I want to see this weekend. Ugh. Anyway, Kathy knit a beautiful pair of Dewdrops on Mossy Rock socks. So, I think this is bound to be another pair of socks. Maybe? Maybe a hat? I don't know. Or a shawl. She does a lot of socks, if I remember correctly. But congratulations, Kathy. If you would, again, I'm going to wait for you to hear this. So, private message me, Ravelry, first and last name, mailing address, and email. I know I probably have it all somewhere, but it just makes it easier when I can copy and paste. All right, our pattern winner is a pattern from our featured designer, who is Jen Lucas, who we got a shawl sample of her refraction shawl in the shop this week. I can't wait to start traveling with it. It's going to be a couple more weeks before we start traveling with it, but it's beautiful. 2 gradients done in stripes, asymmetrical, yes please. Anyway, pattern winner from our featured designer, Jen Lucas, was number 127, and that is I Now Our, and they knit a scraptacular hat. So congratulations, I Now Our. You won recently, but I still have not kept your information. So again, I'm going to wait for you to hear. If you would, please direct message me on Ravelry with which one of Jen's patterns that are giftable on Ravelry, meaning they have not been published in a book, they are able to be purchased on Ravelry individually, and let me know which one of those patterns you would like. I will let Jen know, and she will gift it to you as soon as she can. So congratulations, I Now Our and Knitter Chow, on entering your objects, and thank you to everyone for posting all their wonderful finished objects for the month of September. That being said, while I was almost a week late in opening October's, I did keep everybody who posted in September's, even though it was October, they were put in the numbered drawing for this September drawing. So, October's Race to the Finished Object contest is open. We have a wonderful prize that will be pulled from our prize pool, as well as another pattern from Jen Lucas to be featured next month. So, enter anything you finish this month into that thread, 1 post per finished object. You must post a picture. Links to either your pattern page or the pattern itself are always appreciative, and each finished object gets you an entry into the drawing, and we'll draw the first episode of November. Alrighty, is there anything else that I feel like I need to go over? Okay, I don't think so. All right. I did not bring October's new colorway of the month. I know I forgot it last episode, but so many things that I wanted to do before I got here. Like, remember that? That actually was on the last of my mind. But I wanted to take a video of the store window that everybody's been asking about, and I completely forgot to do that. So sorry, folks. Maybe I'll do something on Instagram tomorrow if I remember, or this week. Yeah, the new colorway was called Tainted Love. It's all over Instagram and Facebook. Unfortunately, pre-orders have closed for that. They closed yesterday. However, you can always place a custom order for it. So pre-orders are just our fun way to kind of get people to buy when it's released, but it is always available afterwards. And if it's not in the shop currently dyed up, you can always request a custom order and we'll get it dyed up for exactly what you want. We will have a few skeins with us in Michigan this weekend. Speaking of which, we will be waiting another 3 weeks before I record as due to our travel schedule. So our upcoming shows this weekend, Andy will be in Ann Arbor, Michigan on Saturday and Sunday, the 12th and 13th, at the Fall Fiber Expo that is at the Washtenaw County Fairgrounds. And then the following weekend, I will be joining Andy. We will be leaving on Wednesday, setting up Thursday, and vending on Friday, October 18th. At Indie Untangled in Saugerties, New York. That is a pop-up trunk show the day before Rhinebeck or New York Sheep and Wool proper. Unfortunately, tickets for that have sold out. But if you were lucky enough to get a ticket, please come see us. Like I said, we have a single booth, so we're narrowing down what bases we will have with us. But we will be premiering a new collaboration with Silverstud USA. That is an exclusive leading men fiber arts line. I'm so excited for this, you have no idea. So there's that. I will be with the group that I mentioned previously at Rhinebeck on Saturday, taking it all in and enjoying Rhinebeck, even though it is a bit claustrophobic on Saturday. I'm not sure how much in the barns I'll be, but I'll be around. I'll probably be wearing my Fox Says What, or not my Fox Says What, my For Fox Sake sweater on Saturday. Andy will then hopefully be joining me on Sunday. He's going to be watching a lot of college football back at the converted barn on Saturday. And he's super excited about that, so don't feel sorry about him. But he'll hopefully be joining me on the fairgrounds on Sunday. So if you see us, please stop us and say hi. We may have some accoutrement with us. No guarantees, though, but I'm hoping, even if it's a pen or a little something extra, we'll see. That'll be Sunday. I'll be wearing probably my, what is it called? The Henley that I knit out of yarn that I got at Harrisville Designs at Rhinebeck last year. Anyway, can't remember. It's maroon. I knit quite a few garments this year. It's amazing. Then, like I said, we're going to drive down and we'll be vending at the Southeastern Animal Fiber Festival, also known as SAFF. And that'll be Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, October 25th, 6th, and 7th in Fletcher, North Carolina. It is right outside of Asheville. And we will be in the Davis Arena with a big, huge triple booth for you to peruse all your fiber needs. So we look forward to seeing a bunch of wonderful people out there. And then don't worry, I'll record after that. And I'll let you know about the upcoming shows we have after that, because we'll be in Tennessee and Texas and somewhere else after that coming up. So doesn't end for a while. But anyway, as always, you can find the business as Leading Men Fiber Arts on Instagram and Facebook. We also have a Ravelry group for the business as well. And we have the Dramatic Knits video podcast group on Ravelry. You can find the podcast on YouTube. On our Ravelry group, under each thread, I post a link to YouTube. And you can find it, as always, as well as our show notes on dramaticknits.com. Until I see you in 3 weeks, as always, I hope you knit something dramatic.